Alright everyone, we start off today talking about Disinfo, the war of the Biden administration against independent content creators and minds in the falsely claimed name of fighting disinformation. The insinuation is that whatever the Biden admin doesn't agree with is obviously from a hostile foreign state and is going to cause people to die, and therefore it needs to be banned by big tech firms. This could be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because when the administration is explicitly attempting to coerce, as his dust up with Facebook certainly suggests, I'll get into that, a link in the description archived of course, when the government is proactively and openly, they're not trying to hide it, coercing private firms to police user behavior in this manner, it's much more of an explicit violation of the idea of 230 than simply before, where the tech firms appear to be biased. I would say are obviously biased, but you can't necessarily, you don't have a government connection per se. You have sites that are platforming government goods and services. I argue that breaches equal protection under the law at the most fundamental level. This is more explicit, and it's literally propaganda. Now, first and foremost, there will be a pinned comment down below with links to 4 other video hosting sites that I use. Keep in mind, I make 4 videos every day. Only 2 end up on YouTube. This is an important topic. I think some people aren't taking it seriously enough. The Biden and his fight now with Zuckerberg. He came out the other day and said, well, Facebook's not doing enough to ban the disinfo agents. You're causing people to die, insinuating that if Facebook doesn't censor even more than it already does, and trust me, I mean, there's a reason I haven't actively used Facebook in, I don't even know how long at this point, a very, very long time. Facebook is a censorship-ridden hellhole that routinely goes on purges of innocuous political content. I remember several years ago, all the cop block groups, they blocked them, for encouraging people to record their interactions and understand the idea of taking the fifth and shit, understanding Miranda rights and so forth. That was a basic premise. They got banned. Tea Party pages have been banned. I've had people that have said that they've gotten their accounts temporarily banned or gotten warnings and stuff for sharing out my material. And not Disinfo, but like innocuous videos. We're talking about analysis of basic, sometimes not even political news. The number of people, the number of independent voices that have been canned on Facebook is vast. Despite all this, Biden still thinks that they need more censorship. God, if Facebook doesn't measure up to whatever his golden standard is of policing speech, you might as well fucking literally bring the gulags back, because I can't envision anything that wouldn't be Soviet-esque at that point. The fact is, the U.S. government should in no way be encouraging private businesses to increase censorship. It should be doing the opposite. It should be encouraging them to be a free and open internet in the literal and explicit sense. The fact that a corporate donor, a corporate sponsor has bitched about a YouTuber should not cause Susan Wojcicki to ban them off the platform. The fact that the government declares somebody to be engaged in disinfo or declares an idea to be wrong does not mean that it should be banned from the public square. The big tech is the de facto public square, where things that are otherwise legal, it's not spam, you're not defaming anyone, you haven't copied someone else's homework, you're not putting, lewd pictures of kids or something on the internet, you're literally just engaged in political debate, well, then that should be considered sacrosanct. Under the civic model the United States should be endorsing, if we're measuring up to the historical standards that the founders certainly would believe in, we should be attempting to use the power of the internet to promote freedom in other countries as well. To the limited degree that this happens, it becomes hypocritical, because those same tech firms that are like, oh, we're going to help the Cubans, we're going to help them argue about why, we're going to help them organize protests and overthrow the post-Castro commie regime. But you're not allowed to talk about certain medical applications. You're not allowed to talk about light therapy or something like that because it's medically harmful. You'll convince someone that they shouldn't get vaccinated. You're not allowed to talk about the last election. 2016, you're totally allowed to question the veracity of that. Yeah, the Russians were obviously involved, but don't you dare bring up 2020. Say literally all of the mainline tech sites. Facebook, Google, certainly, and all of its services, YouTube, Insta. I can't remember. Is Instagram Google or Facebook run now? I can't even remember. And then, of course, Twitter. Not sure about Apple. They're more phone salesmen. They sell you shitty products with bright colors for twice the price. Basically a knockoff Windows platform that can't even game. That being said, first and foremost, think about the linguistic structure here. The very term disinformation insinuates a hostile, a malevolent foreign element. That is, that the person's not simply sharing the homeopathic remedy for COVID page because they're a goddamn hippie and they just don't understand medicine. They're obviously doing it because they're a paid Disinfo shill. Boris and Natalia sit outside and whisper to them while they're typing it. That's the insinuation. There are people who have been prepped by the lamestream media and by the political establishment to actually believe this. They were told for years and years that the Russians were around every corner, influencing and involving themselves with independent commentary. Alex Jones probably has a hotline to Putin. Influencing the political system. That dastardly orange buffoon Trump is a pawn of Vladimir Putin. None of these claims were ever true, but a lot of people in the population, because of their dichotomous cognitive dissonance kicking in, assume that it's true, because they were told it by authoritative sources. That's the other counterpoint to this. All of these so-called authoritative sources are bullshit. The real disinfo is the claim of disinfo. The real propaganda is the claim of propaganda issuing from a bunch of independent content creators that have no particular master. For instance, in my own analysis, I don't have any corporate donors. My income, insofar as it's related to my video work, comes from literally hundreds of decentralized individuals, some of which donate anonymously. It's impossible for me, therefore, to be in a position where I'm going to get influenced by Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping, because that's not where the money's coming from. It's quite open and transparent. I would say if you want to find who's engaged in any disinfo coming from a foreign state, look at the big legacy media networks like CNN or MSNBC that have offices in Moscow and Beijing. There's your disinfo. China is literally trying to use the so-called U.S. legacy media as a cudgel to force Americans to adopt Chinese-style mannerisms with regards to the pandemic and more. The social credit score system that they use is loosely approximated in the way we treat people online. If you have right-think views, you're promoted. If you have tolerable views, they leave you alone. If you have kind of edgy views, they demote you. If they get too edgy, they ban you. How is this not fundamentally a doppelganger of their system? Banks will literally cut you off from your credit line, from your bank account, force you to use it like a credit union or something if you have the wrong think views. Well, this is clearly unacceptable, number one. And number two, when the President of the United States tasked with the defense of the Constitution is arguing with a former libertarian tech junkie about who can abuse the internet more, don't you think we've lost the plot? I certainly do. I think we should be doing the exact opposite. This is why I use new tech. This is why, again, pinned comment down below with links to these other sites, because they're not going to censor me. It's important. It actually matters. Everyone should be getting on these sites. More in the description of the video, by the way. You're insane if you're not using new tech. You're insane if you're not, I guess at this point, dabbling with crypto. I mean, it's just a sign of insanity to think that the old order as it currently stands is stable. It's like building your house in a fucking quicksand bog, actually. That's about all. Peace out.